And welcome back in 3ds Max with our scene. Today we will talk about Wisteria floribunda scene, and in the presentation I have tried to explain the workflow on the modeling shaders, and most of the elements have been created using the very basic editable poly technique and advanced painter script to spread the elements. And as you can see, we have here a lot of groups of the plants on the sky, actually here on the, let's say, kind of ceiling of the quasi interior. And to do this I have created a helper object to spread the elements, but the main problem was that we had the idea to create cables where the EVs and basically the Wisteria plants should grow on, and the cables are not placed on one surface. So when we will take a look from the front view, we can see that the outer joints are a bit higher than the ones in the middle. So first we need to create a helper object, and to do this I will create a circle object. I will not be perfect accurate, but I can show you that we have a pivot point right in the center, and I can also choose now from the snap toggle to choose the pivot point, and I will disable the vertex. So press S to enable the snapping, and now I will create a circle starting right from the center of my cable object. And I will just go to the front view, move it a bit to the top. It don't have to be perfect accurate, so. And right now I will convert this spline into editable poly. And now the only thing we need to do is to create some new divisions and move the center a bit down to fit to the cables. And to do this I will create with inset some new polygons. I will go to the top view, enable the Alt X to see through the element, press F2 to disable the polygon view, and we'll rescale a bit the center polygon. And right now I will move it down to fit the cables, and our distribution object has been just created. And on this object we can easily use the Gureware plugin and create some EVs. And now we just need to tweak the adhesion, gravity to make them grow fast on the distribution object. And that's basically the idea, how to create these nice EVs branches all over the sky. And that's the idea. So let's delete this. But the next problem we need to solve is to how create or even how to spread the groups of Wisteria plants remaining perfect verticals, because you know the gravity will not let the Wisteria plants to grow in orthogonal way to the surface. And that's what we need to figure out using the advanced painter script. So first I will create a dummy object which will represent my Wisteria plant like this, and I will just rotate it, or even not. Sorry guys, my bad. So now I will just convert into editable poly this object, and I will adjust the pivot point just as shown on the presentation. So imagine we have on the top the very beginning of the plant. So I will just affect the pivot, move it to the top, and remember in the perspective to have the z-axis going along the stalk. So I will have to rotate. Just pressing A, you can skip a few degrees, like in default it's 5, so we have a perfect rotation. And now we can rotate 180 degrees my pivot, so we have the z-axis following my element. And right now, if we will go to the local, we will see that actually the gizmo is following with the z-axis, going downwards, and this should give us the proper result while using the Advanced Painter script. And now let's enable the script. I will choose randomizer mode, and I will add selection. And now just we need to choose our distribution object and start painting. So let's go back to Advanced Painter, and I will hit paint. And now, as you can see, all the object is going in the up direction, and that's because the normal of this object is just here on the top side. So let's select all the elements and let's hit flip normal. And let's get back to our painter and let's start to paint again. Okay, now it's good. So if I will go to the active camera, and we can see we have nice painting results, but in the front view we can see that the elements are actually fitting to the normal surface of the distribution object, and now it's not perfect vertical, and this cannot happen with our gravity, especially with plants. So to fix this issue, we may choose to align up direction set to Z. And if we will do this, I will just now delete all those objects and go to active camera again, choose the element, and let's paint with the Z align up direction enabled. Now we have probably to reverse the selection. But right now, if we will go to the front view, we can see that all elements are perfectly vertical, and that was the idea about spreading groups of plants using this distribution object, which has been created for Eevee creation. In fact, just for the branches. And you could also create just a flat circle one more time, but to have a bit less work on the scene, we can also work on this just like in this example. So once the saving is done, thank you, we can go back to the camera and isolate other objects to check out the rendering setup and also the lighting. So let's just remove these helper objects from our scene. We will just leave the cables, and once again active camera, and let's unisolate all elements. So the scene is pretty heavy, and it's also pretty heavy to display. I will try to show you now what we have here. We have also a V-ray plane to, in some cases not having effect of light going through the ground, just in case. And we have here two types of lights. One, a direct light for direct shadows in the scene, and once again I have used the standard light. It's very easy to control the area shadows inside of this light and also the color. So I can recommend this old school technique even today. And we have V-ray shadows enabled. That's what's important inside of these properties. And we have also area shadows mapping set to sphere, and UVW set to half meter. Remember, the light need to reach with the hotspot beam the whole scene, and we can choose also some warm light, so just pick a bit orange color, and we have pretty much the settings down for this scene. and as an additional light source I have chosen a dome light, V-ray dome light type of light, because in fact we have some very shadowed area inside of this patio, because we have many plants that are covering the sky and the light rays from direct light. And in some cases just the environment light, which is not a real light, may not produce enough samples for your GI. And to fix this, from this stage we can create a V-ray dome light, which is a real light and produces real samples to lit the scene, and that's why this V-ray dome light is right here. And I have in the V-ray dome light a texture basically created from V-ray sky that has been clipped to the direct light. And once again I will show you the idea how to do it. So we have in the material editor our V-ray sky, and we have a manual sun node, and as sun node we have chosen the direct light, and that's basically the texture also for our V-ray dome light. Let's check out now the render setup. So we have here adaptive DMC, because we have a lot of small geometry, so this type of image sampler will produce more accurate results. We have also in environment nothing enabled, because we have choose to use the V-ray dome light as our ambient light source. And we have indirect illumination set to irradiance map and light cache for primary and secondary bounces. It's a medium current preset is medium default setting, and for light cache, not much room here. We have much better. We have 2000 subdivisions. Each time we have just show calculate phase to get the idea about GI calculation during the calculation process, and we have in render elements enabled few additional passes that will allow us to do some post work in Photoshop after the rendering, because we have here raw reflections, total lighting to show the white pass, also Z-depth channel, which is very important to add some depth of field effects and bokeh effects in the post-production process. And in the end, in the settings, we have the adaptive amount set to 0.85 and noise thresh set to 0.01. So nothing really special, some medium values for the rendering. And we had to also increase the dynamic memory limit, because a lot of geometry has been added in proxies, and that's a lot of memory during the calculation process, because we need to load all the geometry into our memory. So that's basically the render setup, and as you can see, the lighting is pretty easy. The most difficult part is to receive good sampling inside of the scene, because of the density of plants that have been spread all over the ceiling right here. And we have created few cameras. The first shot, like in the presentation, we had also one more shot with wooden lodges on the foreground, and the base idea is to gain a nice level of detail. So as you can see, we have here some more details on the lodges, and these are basically same leaves that have been used on the wisteria plant groups, but this time spread, just like some fallen leaves on the lodges to give an idea it's more alive. And every time we have the EV Gurower EV generator for the branch trunks creation process, and just few lights on the ground to add the impression it could be lit in a different way. And we have also rendered few elements using these lights with a dusk mode, and that's pretty much the scene. So I hope this little making of and scene presentation inside of 3ds Max can give you an idea how easily to create some custom plants. And basically the problem is with those scenes that they need a lot of RAM during the rendering, because we have a lot of proxies, and if you want also to have high resolutions, then we need high resolution textures for leaves, wood, and all other elements in the scene, and this is also very RAM expensive. So I have tried to render this scene on 12 GB RAM, and it was not very easy, I must admit. 16 Gs, that's the proper value for this scene, but still we can customize the textures, and I'm very sure you will say we can go even down to 10 or 8 Gs to render this scene in 4K resolution. So I'm Simon HC, and I see you in the next section with a short making of about the small house in the autumn mood.